The Placing You First podcast begins in less than 20 seconds.
Visit crcgroup.com to subscribe, download our award-winning tools and intel articles that help you stay aware of emerging issues and trends, or get a snapshot of the insurance marketplace with our industry-leading Ready indexes. You'll find it all on crcgroup.com under Tools and Intel.
Welcome back to the Placing You First podcast, where we explore the trends, topics, and tools shaping the insurance industry. I'm Amanda Knight.
And I'm Scott Gordon. And today we're talking about the increasing frequency, intensity, and cost of convective storms and what that means for clients. Joining us are Ben Shepakow, a broker with CRC Group's Argenia office in Little Rock, Arkansas, and Rob Porter, product director at Vave MGA, who's working on solutions to better manage this evolving risk.
This is the Placing You First podcast from CRC Group.
This podcast features news and insights from a vast knowledge base of over 5,100 associates
who write more than $35 billion in premium annually.
Plus, we give you the latest information on what's happening at CRC.
This is the Placing You First podcast.
And now the hosts of the podcast, Amanda Knight and Scott Gordon.
It's great to have you both with us today.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Great to be here. And Scott, I do just want to mention one thing real quick, just in case nobody is familiar with Arkansas or where Arkansas is. We're right above Louisiana and right below Missouri and right next to Oklahoma, just in case nobody knew where Arkansas was. And Rob, before we get started, you actually, and first of all, I do want to say it's just a real treat to have you on the podcast with us, Rob. It's a really great honor. Rob's actually coming from, or he's in London, England right now. It's not London, Arkansas. And he was actually here in Arkansas about a month ago. So, before we jump into it, do you mind to just kind of tell everybody how fantastic your visit was to Arkansas?
It was amazing. What were the highlights? Visiting the office, obviously. The barbecue, amazing. We'd heard all about it, and we were really looking forward to it. And then Ben and Bobby and the gang were kind enough to take us to some great barbecue places. So it was fantastic.
Way to be a good host, Ben. Good job.
Yeah.
Well, Arkansas. Now you know Arkansas barbecue.
It's the only state where you can eat hog and say "go hogs" in the same sentence.
Well, Ben, let's start with you. As you mentioned, you are based in Arkansas. And if I'm not mistaken, Arkansas is one state that has absolutely seen the impact of tornadoes and other convective storms up close in recent history. Can you paint us a picture of what you have seen in the recent months and years in Arkansas and how clients are responding?
Yeah, absolutely. And before I kind of get into it, the terminology of convective storms or severe convective storms, really what that is where you've got wind and hail, and then the wind and hail is producing tornadoes. So it's kind of a severe thunderstorms leading towards tornadoes. And, in the insurance industry, you've kind of got a couple labeled losses or events that are kind of more attritional losses. And now it's the popular terminology is convective storms. And then you've got your cat losses. And what's really affecting the insurance industry now is just a frequency of these convective storms that are coming through year to year. And then just specifically Arkansas, if I were to paint a picture, the canvas, unfortunately, would be really dark. I feel like Arkansas has kind of had a tough go at it over the past few years. And just in my area alone, which I'm in Northwest Arkansas, just a couple years ago in 2023, Springdale, Arkansas, which is about 5 minutes north of me, there was a big tornado that came through and really affected kind of in the city area that's really never been impacted before. And then in that same year, in Little Rock, Arkansas, where Rob just came through, there was a big tornado that came through Little Rock and impacted a lot of areas kind of in the city that haven't been impacted before. And then just last year, in 2024, there was a tornado that came through just about 10 minutes north of me in Rogers and Bentonville. And I actually think there were two tornadoes that touched down there. And again, really affected areas that have never been affected before. But as I was thinking about that event, I do remember driving around the area, after all of that happened. And what I kind of remember thinking to myself is because I grew up in this area, and a lot of these areas that got hit significantly, 10 years ago, 10, 12 years ago, these subdivisions, these buildings, these houses, they weren't there. So I do think there's a correlation between just the new construction and the building and the development, across these areas, and the impact that these storms are having. And so it's been a tough few years for Arkansas, and then also in Oklahoma, that just sits to the west of Arkansas. I think one of the largest hail events that happened in 2024 was in Oklahoma. I think it impacted maybe 3,000+ houses in one hail event. So we're living in a pretty tough territory right now. And then just kind of the second part of that question about how clients are responding, I just think that overall, more and more people are kind of understanding and realizing what's going on in the industry and the impact that these storms are really having across the country. And I've had countless conversations with folks that are in the business and outside the business. And really the ones that have kind of stood out to me are the ones that are outside the insurance industry, because they're saying things like, geez, these insurance carriers, they're getting hammered and hit hard right now. It's got to be tough on them. And I don't think in the past you would really have comments like that being made in favor of the insurance carriers. So that's just kind of been an interesting conversation. So that's kind of what's been going on over the past few years.
Yeah, Arkansas and where I live in Alabama also always hit by storms, but they have been, convective storms aren't new, but they're clearly getting worse. Rob, I'm going to ask you this from your perspective. What's changed most significantly about the nature of these storms, and why are they so bad, and how are they affecting the insurance industry?
Yeah, thanks, Scott. Yeah, so 2023 and 2024 were really kind of historically bad years for the insurance industry, and I think kind of Ben's kind of given the on the ground view, but I think over here on the other side of the pond, 23 and 24 were a real struggle for insurance carriers. 25 started off slowly, but it started to kind of pick up as well. So I think we're kind of seeing it potentially another kind of bad year here as well. I think there are a few things at play. I think one interesting thing is that, going back kind of 10 or 20 years, there was really quite a defined kind of convective storm season. You kind of see March to June was when you got your events, and outside of that, it was, fairly kind of quiet and benign. But certainly over the last few years, we're really seeing that kind of season stretching out. And I think, I really kind of feel for the people on the ground, like you guys over in Arkansas and Alabama, because you don't really get any respite now, right? There's always the potential for kind of these storms to occur. And certainly from an insurer's point of view as well, it used to be you get through your convective storm season, you'd have your hurricane season, then you kind of relax after that. But we're seeing events like kind of the Central Texas hail event from September 23 occurring really outside of the window of when we normally expect these events. And that's kind of, I think, troubling, I guess, not just for people on the ground who don't really get that respite, but also for insurance companies as well. I think also just kind of picking up on one of Ben's points as well about the change in population, change in exposure and population growth as well, and kind of thinking about where some of the most exposed regions in the US are, places like kind of North Texas also happen to be where people are moving to, and where we're getting this kind of huge growth in exposure as well. And so obviously there's more properties that are there that can be damaged by events. And I think insurers are kind of struggling to get their arms around that a little bit, because we're seeing this kind of huge colossal growth in exposure there. And insurers have to manage their exposure in aggregate, because they don't want to be too exposed to any particular one event, and they want to make sure that their exposure is spread out. And I think we're seeing that in terms of kind of premium changes and deductible changes as a result of that as well. So I think those are kind of some of the key themes. I guess it remains to be seen what happens to the rest of the 2025 season. But yeah, it's definitely been a tough few years, and it feels like the kind of environment's changing, not just in kind of terms of the atmosphere, but also kind of what's there on the ground to be affected.
Well, Rob, you just mentioned, premiums and deductibles, and we've seen, sharp rises in deductibles and premiums over the last few years, especially in higher risk areas. Ben, how are retail agents and clients reacting to those higher deductibles and premiums? And what tools do you have as a broker to help sort of soften the blow or maybe help lower some of those costs?
Yeah, well, I'd say a couple of ways they're reacting is one, they're just getting out of the business and joining real estate. And two, with the phone call screaming at us about how high everything is. No, I'm just kidding. I think that this change in the market over the past couple of years, I kind of alluded to the fact that, everybody's kind of realizing, understanding the effect that the insurance industry is taking. I think the playing field is kind of leveling out a little bit with the carriers. I think maybe 7-8 years ago, you had some events come through, and there were still quite a few carriers that were still kind of had low rates, low deductibles. Still kind of coming into the market, trying to be really aggressive with what they're doing. Fast forward, 5, 6, 7 years to where we're at now. There's been a big change in that, just that aggressiveness. A lot of carriers I know in my territories and surrounding states have left the state due to losses, non-renewals, big rate increases, big deductible changes. And I think it's affecting everybody that's in the business right now. And so I think that agents are, more and more getting more patient with what's going on in the market, and kind of understanding that, hey, if a customer's coming in and they're trying to get a quote, and the days of just going down the road, somebody's a lot cheaper, lower deductibles, I don't really think that's the case anymore. I think everybody's kind of getting into the same boat with what they're being able to do, and in a lot of ways, I think agents are thankful that there are as many carriers that there are, especially in some of these higher areas, that they are still being able to write business and things like that. So, and then just as far as kind of resources and things that agents are doing, with their customers, as these deductibles are coming into play, higher rates is, obviously one thing is we're seeing a lot more increases on AOP deductibles. That's all other peril deductibles. So kind of that typical maybe $1,000 deductible. Agents are offering and writing more, maybe $5,000, $10,000 deductibles, just to kind of lower the cost a little bit. And then even if some wind deductibles have gone up, I've seen quite a bit of take up and even increasing the wind hail deductible even more, just to lower the cost, and just knowing, hey, we're really not going to be filing a claim unless something big, comes through. So those are some things that are offsetting some costs that we feel like are getting utilized more frequently now. And then you've got some products out there, such as a wind hail deductible buyback, which is going to be really an industry leading product in personal lines as we move forward over the next couple of years. And for example, how that works is, let's just say a customer's got a $750,000 home getting moved to a 2% wind hail deductible. That's a $15,000 wind hail deductible. You can actually take out a separate policy and buy that wind hail deductible from a $15,000 wind deductible down to as low as $2,500. Just for a few hundred extra dollars. So it's really a big benefit to the customer, over the course of the next few years in doing that. And so, I do want to kind of put a quick plug in there to CRC, as I feel like CRC is always trying to be a leader in that space with these unique products, and, and having products such as a wind hail deductible buyback in the residential space that I think is going to just become more and more popular over the next couple of years.
Yeah, I think that the Wayans brothers said it best when they said, "Mo money, mo money, mo money." It's all about.
Hey, and actually, Scott, Notorious B.I.G. said it really well. I think in 1996 or 7, "Mo money, mo problems."
That is also 100% true. Wow.
Yes, it is.
Convective storms. What are you going to do? So, Rob, Vave are looking at introducing some products that can help people manage these costs. Can you walk us through what these will look like and, who they will benefit?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess like Vave's approach has always been from the start to kind of give the consumer options. And so we often see that competitors of ours will kind of be pushing deductibles to try and kind of restrict coverage, due to kind of what's going on. And our approach has always been, well, in Ben's case where he talked about moving from a 1K AOP deductible, $1,000 AOP deductible to a 10,000 AOP deductible, we're still offering 1,000 AOP deductibles US wide. To allow the consumer choice. We also offer them 10,000 deductibles because we want to see if they, if the price point, the different price point is kind of appealing to them. Really, our kind of concept is that we want to offer people deductibles so that they can go away and see buy the product which is most appealing to them, rather than us forcing them to kind of have to go for something which they don't necessarily want to do. So that's kind of been Vave's philosophy, and that's our philosophy on the AOP side and on the wind side as well. We're still offering 2% wind deductibles in Texas and Arkansas and Oklahoma. We're not pushing to 5% in any of those areas. We'll offer you a 5% deductible, and you can get a sense of kind of what the differential in price is there. But we really like kind of the sound of kind of what Ben's talking about there in terms of kind of these really innovative solutions around deductible buy downs and offering them in spaces where they've not been offered before. And historically, kind of, it's a kind of product which has been more on the commercial side, and I think being able to kind of deploy that on the personal line side is a really kind of powerful kind of move to give the insureds and the consumers kind of what different options, and that's certainly something that we're looking at as well. Alongside kind of giving the insured choice on a Vave product as well, because we want people to kind of have, be able to kind of, we don't want insurers to have to go away and buy, loads and loads of different products. If they can buy one product, that's obviously much more straightforward. But we do know that other carriers are kind of increasing their deductibles, and so if we can offer a deductible buy down as well, that we can kind of fill in some of those gaps that insurers are seeing elsewhere as well. So really, we're whenever we see the market is starting to tighten and people are starting to pull capacity back, we will see that as an opportunity to kind of offer something which can kind of plug some of these gaps for the insureds.
Ben, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I'd love to actually. And Rob, as we're looking, CRC looking more and more to partner with such great underwriters and carriers like Vave. I do just want to mention Arkansas and Oklahoma, Texas. It's really not as bad as what we're making it sound. And I didn't mean to say Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. I was really meaning Alaska and Hawaii. Those are the states that you really need to stay away from. Other states in the South Central, they're just fantastic states with hardly any losses. Please note.
Asterisk right there.
Yeah.
Let's zoom out a bit. Okay. What role do education and communication play in preparing insureds and even some brokers for this changing environment?
I would say education and communication are probably two of the biggest factors right now as we're going through this change in the market. And it's kind of to the point of, what we're saying earlier about just the playing field kind of getting leveled out. So I think that just because I'm a customer, I'm a policyholder myself. And as you see these events that just keep taking place and you kind of realize it is tough out there on these insurance carriers, and just in with the inflation and just the cost of doing business in general, the frequency, everybody talks about inflation, but you kind of forget, well, inflation happens in insurance as well. It's not just the rest of things that are going on, in business. So it does affect insurance. So I just think that ways that you can really kind of flourish during this time as a broker like myself or an insurance agent, is really taking time to educate the customer in ways that they can maybe have some credits or save some costs on their policy, but also just kind of taking time to communicate with them what is going on in the market, why these changes are happening, and just kind of, zooming out a little bit and giving them an idea of what's going on so that you can kind of just understand that, hey, we're all kind of in the same boat here. Not really a case where it's just happening to you or to the carriers I'm representing. It's really a widespread change in the market right now. And I just think that if more and more policyholders have a good understanding of what is going on, then I just think that it's going to help prepare everybody for, over the next 2 or 3 years as the industry just kind of continues to work through just another phase of insurance.
Ben, from the broker's position, from the broker's chair, what advice, if you could give, one piece of advice to the retail agents, sort of depending on people like you and Rob to help their clients, what's that one piece of advice you would give them if they are starting to see clients living in areas with more frequent wind and hail events?
Yeah, that's
Call
a
Ben?
great question.
Is that what you tell them? Call Ben?
No, well, actually, what I would say is I would say go rent a forklift and go pick up your office, your agency office, and your home, and just move it to another place that doesn't have wind and hail events.
Good luck.
Oh, wait a minute, that's really nowhere in the U.S.
Right?
anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's and I'm hesitant to say the word advice because I've never been an insurance agent before, and I don't ever want to put myself in their shoes at all because I've never been there, and I know how just tirelessly and how hard they work, and I also know just working hand in hand with other CRC offices and brokers out there, just how great they are at their job and how hardworking they are as a whole. These brokers and insurance agents, and they just do such a fantastic job overall. But what I would kind of say from my perspective, just because I do deal with a lot of different agencies and a lot of different agent groups and in a lot of different territories, just to continue to be patient with what's going on, because you're not in the boat alone. I've kind of alluded to it several times. It's the playing field's getting leveled out with what's going on with the carriers and the carriers that insurance agents are utilizing. And then again, just really kind of go back to that service and that communication and that education of what's going on out there, and just kind of hang in there and just know that you're not alone with it.
Good advice.
I think there's a huge role as well from just thinking about our side of the pond as well, of kind of communicating with you guys, the wholesalers, so you can kind of get it out there to the retailers, the insureds, about, what is it that we're looking for in a property to kind of get that better rate and get those credits as well. So there's definitely something that we want to do more of is kind of reach out and aware that this is a partnership between kind of insured and agents and carriers to make sure that, ultimately we just want to try and kind of minimize and reduce the amount of damage that's done from these events. And so if we can kind of get out there what it is that we will credit in terms of kind of mitigations and stuff like that, and then, if the insured is able to kind of take those actions, then that's obviously a really powerful thing, because if the events are still going to happen, but if we can try and minimize the actual damage and losses from them, then that benefits everyone, right?
Absolutely.
Benefits us, benefits insured, benefits carriers, the agents as well. So that's certainly something that I think there's more of a role for that education kind of piece being pushed down the chain, I think.
Yeah, and this is one of those areas that touches everybody. Everyone lives under the sky. Everyone experiences storms. So
even here in London, we get them sometimes.
Right. I mean, only certain people are going to be subject to cyber crimes, but we're all going to be hit in the head by a hailstone, right? Well, this was great, and as usual, we learned a lot. But also, as usual, we are reaching the fun portion of our show, which Amanda and I like to call rapid fire. And it is just you answer right off the top of your head. And let's start with our friend from across the pond, Rob, with the first question. If you were coming up onto a stage, what would your entrance song be?
Wow, good question. Probably be
I think we're talking like hype, like the wrestling. Yeah, what's your hype song? You can't come out to Simon and Garfunkel.
Oh, damn it!
I mean, you could.
You don't recommend it. I'd probably go for. Do you guys know Oasis? Do you have Oasis in the States?
Yes,
we do.
Oh, they're so huge here, and they've reformed, and they're back on tour this summer. So I'd probably go for "Live Forever" by Oasis. I think it's just kind of gets you going.
Yeah, good choice. All right, Ben.
And the insurance industry in itself is an oasis, anyways. So it's kind of like we're living in that daily, right?
That's true.
This is going to be kind of embarrassing because I don't know that it's really a song that's going to get me jacked up, but I just went and saw them in concert about a month ago. So they're on the top of my mind. Yeah, well, I'm going to have to go with Boyz II Men, and I'm going to have to go with a song, One Sweet Day, featuring Mariah Carey. It's not going to get you jacked up, but it is a fantastic song to just kind of slow the world down, make you think a little bit. And but gosh, they were good in concert. I'm gonna have to admit that. So that's what I'm going with.
I remember seeing that they were getting back together or getting ready to tour, and I was like, can they change their name to Men to Older Men now? I don't
exactly.
But that's exciting. I'm excited that you got to see them. I bet that was awesome.
It was great. And they still sound the same as they did,
Amazing.
30 years ago.
Nice. All right. Question 2, Rob, if you could bring back a fashion trend, what would it be and why?
I think probably skinny jeans. I'm absolutely appalled that they're not fashionable anymore. Because skinny jeans were all the rage when I was at university and at college. And apparently they're not very cool now.
Rob, same. I'm not letting go of mine. Let me be clear. They are still in my closet right now.
Yeah, same. Yeah. To be honest, I just don't want to go shopping again and buy some new jeans is the thing.
Yeah.
But
Ben?
All right, Ben, what about you?
Yeah, I don't know if this is a fashion trend, but what I'd like to bring back for about a week is a brand. Because I'm 39, and when I was getting into 8th and 9th grade, so it would have been, I guess 14, 15 years old. I don't know if y'all remember Abercrombie and Fitch. So Abercrombie and Fitch came out at that time and just kind of blew the doors off of it seemed like there was we have a pretty big mall in our area, and they had a huge store. But they were so expensive. Everything in there was so expensive. And I just remember I had several friends they're getting new pants and shirts. And of course, my parents couldn't afford any of that stuff. So we never were able to get any Abercrombie and Fitch. We were going to Old Navy.
Yeah.
So what I'd like to bring back for a week is just that style during that time. And I just would like to see why it was so expensive and why it was so popular.
You want to time travel is what you want to do.
Time travel, yeah.
I want to time travel. Yeah. Hop in the DeLorean.
When you said, wow, it was really expensive, I almost said, were you an Old Navy boy? And you said it. Yeah. I was an Old Navy boy.
Absolutely. I think the prices were a third than what those were.
Solid bargains at the Old Navy, y'all. We're not paid sponsors.
We should be.
Yeah.
Well, Ben and Rob, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us. And Rob, thank you so much for being a part of this.
Yeah, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Really appreciate that.
No, you're welcome. My pleasure.
And thank you to all of our listeners for joining us today. Be sure to subscribe to the Placing You First podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll see you next time.
Are you ready to move faster and go further? Take your career to the next level. Join Team CRC to gain access to best-in-class tools, data, exclusive programs, and more. Send your resume to resumes@crcgroup.com and read testimonials from recent hires on LinkedIn.
Search for CRC Group.